All right. Hey, what's up, people? Shout out to everyone else that uses paper products because you hate doing dishes. All right, let's get right into this video. I had something totally different planned, but I just want to be completely transparent and really just let you see into my mind with this. I am struggling really hard with an attribute, an aspect of God that I don't understand, and that that's really just causing me grief right now. Now, understand, you're going to hear this, you're going to have a lot to say, and you're welcome to share it with me. But I'm just being real. I'm just putting an authentic version of myself out. So whatever you're struggling with, you're not doing it alone. But here's where I'm having trouble with God, is this aspect of patience. This aspect of patience, you know, it's a virtue, I get it. But it's more than a virtue, it's how God works. And it's difficult, you know. I'm gonna be real honest. I don't like the fact that God promised Abraham that he would give him like a seed, that his offspring is going to be as multiples of the sand on the seashore, stars in the sky, and then makes him wait and wait and wait and wait to the point him and both Sarah, his wife, are past the age of childbearing, gives him a miracle. I get it. You know, he wanted to bring him into a spot where only he could get the credit for it. But when I read that story, it kind of like, I don't want to read it. I don't want it to be true, you know? I don't like the part where David is promised to be the next king of Israel, and then he waits and waits and goes through trial and waits. And every season he's like, man, another season where I'm having to wait on this promise to come to pass. That's tough. I don't like the part where God comes to Moses, says, you're going to be the deliverer of my people out of Egyptian bondage, and then sends him in the desert for 40 years, and then brings him back to fulfill the promise. Like Joshua, Caleb, both of these guys, given the promise, are going to go into the promised land. And they go with Moses in the wilderness 40 years. And then finally, they go and they possess the land of promise. The Bible's full. The Bible is full of promises that God gives. And then time happens. And God is not at all worried about our finite lives passing by before his promise comes to pass. And that is one of the largest, most profound differences in what it means to follow Jesus, as opposed to the Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, hustle culture that tells you to just go out there and kill it. Just make it happen. And that's tough to sit with. That's tough to sit with, especially if you're like me, who's a go-getter and somebody that, you know, isn't a kid anymore. Patience at 20 years old felt totally different than patience does at 30 years old. You compound that with comparison. You compound the idea of being patient with the fact that we're all connected on social media, and you can watch people your age do the thing you're called to, and God doesn't care that someone else your age is doing the thing that he called you to do. Sorry, my little microphone's flopping down. That one's tough to me too. You know? I don't struggle with the promise of God. God has been so faithful to me. So when I think about the promises that I know God has for my life, I can trust. But it just kind of like, it freaks me out to know that the people that God loved to death in the Bible, like his boys, like the women, the men that like are like wrote the history books when it comes to the kingdom of God, he had no problem taking what we would think would be his time with those people. And that is a mindset that is completely different than the world. And there really isn't a way to bridge the gap, you know? I'm huge on making the most of the time, of doing what I can do, the things that are in my control, preparing myself, growing myself, learning, you know, putting the reps in, being prepared for when it is the time of the promise to go for it. But like, man, patience is hard. You know what I mean? Like there's just some stuff with God that like you can't force to happen faster. Like marriage. You know, if you're waiting on the spouse God has for you, there's really nothing you can do to like speed that process up. You know, for Lacey, I mean, God, by the time that I thought, this is going to sound really kind of weird, but like this is just me being real. Like Lacey's a good bit younger than me, right? She, you know, there's like a 6-7 year difference there. Like 7-year difference. And at the 23-year-old version of me who thought that he was ready to be married at 23, Lacey was not eligible for marriage, if you know what I'm saying, when I thought I was ready, right? Like she wasn't even like, I mean, obviously like legality, like it's kind of weird. Like I don't want to stay here long, but like God knew I needed to wait and I didn't understand and I couldn't see. And so that's a very awkward example. I'm sorry if that gave you the creeps, but it's the truth. So I'm just having a rough couple days because I'm like, I don't like to wait. So, yeah, that's what's up. Patience. God's timing it's tough. And I haven't got it all figured out yet. And so I'm still like in the trenches day by day, waiting on God, being faithful. So my thing might be different than your thing, but it all requires faith. And so anyway, quick video, kind of raw. I feel like it speaks to what I'm talking about. Have a great one.